Triple H is like no selling, and he says, bring that little belt you have around your waist. What does that stand for? Extreme? Well, this is the World Wrestling Federation, and I'm going to prove to you that ECW sucks. Things are about to get extreme. We're in Philadelphia for Smackdown on Tales from the Attitude Era. Oh, and La Parka's here.
Yeah, my La Parka t-shirt. 20 years old.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now known as L.A. Park. Very, very interesting Mexican copyright laws there. The original La Parka left AAA, but AAA owns the La Parka name, but he is the La Parka, so he changed it to just L.A. Park.
Right. And then the other La Parka, rest in peace.
Yeah. Oh, and then they had someone replace him, and then that La Parka died, and now there's a new La Parka in AAA.
Right. Yeah.
And he looks great.
I liked the La Parka that died. He was sick, right? He was the one that he used to do the guitar thing with the chair in the ring.
No, that's L.A. Park. The one in WCW is L.A. Park now. He's still alive. His replacement died.
Oh, was he a big thick guy too, or like?
No, he was the thick guy is L.A. Park. La Parka, he was I guess he was like bigger than the current one, but still not as big as L.A. Park.
But he took that horrible dive out of the ring, right? And they got
there was some concussion.
Oh yeah, it was awful. Yeah, so.
But we're not here to talk about Lucha Libre. We're here to talk about the Attitude Era. We're talking about Smackdown from 420. Nice. 2000.
Oh, nice.
2 episodes ago was episode 69.
Filled the arena.
Now we're reviewing 420. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
This is a very interesting episode of the show. We're in Philadelphia, ECW country. Although by this point, ECW's a little sad. I don't know. ECW's on its last legs. It's going to go out of business in about a year, a little under a year.
Yeah.
And WWE gives them a little bit of a rub on the show.
Sure. Well, I can't remember what was happening at this time. I mean, Tazz won it from Mike Awesome. Who was like there? Was it still? Yeah, it was a little less.
They kind of lost all their big guys just because they couldn't afford to really pay them. And they were all like, essentially, it was just like, somebody goes to ECW, makes their name, and then one of the other two bigger companies scoop them up. Typically, I feel WCW is scooping up all the guys because they were offering more money.
Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon because based on your success, you kill yourself.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Because why would these wrestlers stick around for, half or probably less than half the pay that they would get to work smaller venues in like worse conditions? But the other side is the most passionate fan base of the era.
Right. Yes.
And I don't want anyone to think I'm knocking ECW. Like if you were to ask me in 2000 what my favorite promotion was, I would probably still say ECW. Although I would say at this point, WWE is like on fire. Like I'm really a WWF guy at this point too. But ECW was like, I felt it was like the punk rock of wrestling. So I just had to rep for it. Like I'm real,
I agree with that. And moreover, I would say that ECW was the catalyst for the Attitude Era.
Yeah, I agree.
Certainly. And I think in the stagnation of the earlier, everyone looked at that like, oh, this is really edgy, adult, weird. It influenced completely this massive success, and that's it's great and it's cool, and then it's kind of sad because it happens in entertainment too. Like, oh, the catalyst and the spark. Thank you very much. We'll take that, and you die.
What happens then? Like they lit the spark. Now the fire's going, and like WWE's doing hardcore. I mean, to be fair, a sanitized version, like a Disney-fied version of hardcore, but very much hard. Like you're getting tables, you're getting like the Dudleys are doing not too far away from what they were doing in ECW in WWE.
And it's moreover that, like I said, just that the attitude, the tone, and just the angle of what they're doing, being in a more adult oriented, and edgy. That overall thing really influenced. Like, hey, we should start doing this like that. Not exactly the because you can't borrow.
It was a
it's
proof
such
of
a bigger
concept,
spectacle.
basically.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So I think what ECW did, since they're like, okay, we are like hardcore isn't our original thing anymore. You can get hardcore anywhere. They really leaned into getting really great cruiserweights during this era, really great workers, really great wrestlers. And I remember there was like Tajiri and Super Crazy and Little Guido. And like I feel like the opening of the cards would always be really, really great, just traditional wrestling. And then the top of the card would be your like total Crash TV, hardcore schmaz to give those fans what they want. And it was just like a fun little smorgasbord in a different.
And as wrestling gets cyclical, a big part of it, which is the mysterious thing that you try to get, is like there's a fan connection. Because let's face it, you could, without that fan madness, a lot of those same matches it could be flat. That fuels everything, you know what I mean? And that started happening at WWE, and that's and you might argue today like, oh God, it's a big, huge spectacle, but is there that same like fan connection and like when you look at it?
Yeah, I think that's honestly something ECW people don't talk about with ECW either, is how the fans became a much bigger part of the show.
Huge.
And like to this day, there are chants that originated in ECW that are still happening, or not even just chants, but like an added, like the pick me attitude of like, I'm going to have an ironic chant and it's going to get over,
Yeah. And just that small arena, just that the madness and the energy feedback loop of the fans created a higher standard for the wrestlers' performance.
Yeah,
they felt it when they went out, and even no matter what, they're like, okay, we'll do a match. Well, are we going to lose them or this or that? And it's like, oh, they're psyched, and they set the bar. And you saw so many matches in ECW were like, oh God, this is like getting so intense. And even like they felt like, ooh, if I make a botch, ooh, they're going to notice. And yeah, it was very interesting time.
Right. The "you fucked up" chant, I feel, is like one example of when it went a little too far, like it's funny. But then it's just like, relax.
Yeah. But he can't. It's one of those frenzy, build, relax. What do you mean?
Yeah. It is interesting. I learned maybe this year, last year though, that like some wrestlers would play into that. Like Sabu would intentionally botch a move. If a crowd was quiet during his match, he would botch a move just to get them revved up with the "you fucked up" chant, and then he would like laugh to his opponent like, these fucking marks. They think they got me, I got them. Which I'm just like,
no,
wow,
it's
that's
great. Anything to invigorate him, anything. Yeah. It's so funny.
Well, we'll have some ECW on the show here. This is an eventful SmackDown, a very eventful week in WWF history. We are at the Philly Spectrum. Kick things off with a match. I love SmackDown just kicks off with a match. You don't want to do the 20-minute promo. You can't do the 20-minute promo on SmackDown. You're on broadcast television. You have commercial standards. You need a commercial at the 10-minute mark. And so we have Road Dogg and X-Pac coming out. It's a singles match. Road Dogg versus Edge. And Road Dogg keeps working on these new raps, but it just doesn't hit the same as like the sing-along, oh, you didn't know.
Right.
Like it almost feels like DX is just in its twilight right now, which is crazy. Like I was saying with the we were talking about 2 weeks ago with the idleness of like 3 months ago, it was so hot. It was like DX is back, and now it's like
it's just sometimes when you have an identity, it could be like a football team, like the defensive line, the fearsome foursome, one's gone. As far as like a brand or what, it just takes something out. Four horsemen, what have you? Like, now this is the other four horse. Oh, okay, it goes down. If there wasn't like a good angle to like replace Billy Gunn, or you know what I mean? Even it just that kind of like, so it's there, so it's Triple H, so this is morphing into this, but is it still DX? And you know what I mean? So it just it's natural to be like, that's why like, New Age outlaw. It's just it's inevitable.
So it's Road Dogg versus Edge. This is to set up the tag title match at the pay-per-view coming up with Road Dogg and X-Pac versus Edge and Christian. And it's a quick match, ends where Edge goes for a roll-up, Road Dogg reverses the roll-up and does the old heel move of grabbing the tights. But not enough to give the ladies a show. Rude.
Yeah, because ladies love a sweaty ass crack. That's why plumbers are always in pornos. Everyone knows that.
Backstage, Shane tells Triple H and Steph he's going to take care of this. This being Chris Jericho and The Rock. they're all throughout the show. You did the Stone Cold Strikes segments. And this is why the Attitude Era is so good, is because you're constantly educating your audience on why your top guys are awesome. Because surely, Austin's been gone for 6 months now. You've gained a lot of audience in the 6 months. There might be people that haven't really seen how awesome Steve Austin is. So why not remind them? And for those who have seen it, here's just a reminder again. Like, remember how much you loved Steve Austin?
Yeah. No, I know. Right before you were going to turn the channel, like, oh, right, or stop being a fan. Oh, he's coming back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
And I want to mention, I kept mistaking the Backlash pay-per-view for Judgment Day. It's Judgment Day, which is the next pay-per-view that has the Iron Man match. Backlash is just the traditional.
Yeah. The Iron Man match, which will reveal the participants for the Lethal Lottery, who will then go into Battle Bowl, and then the winners of that will face each other at Starrcade. My favorite triple mention Tony Schiavone promo of all time.
I want to thank our fan, our Western Heritage attitudinal, Jonathan, for pointing that out in the YouTube comments for me.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Triple H and so they all come out, Triple H, Stephanie, and Shane. Triple H and Steph say how they're laughing about how Triple H had a bad day on Monday, the Jericho thing. But Triple H says, if you look at the record books, I never lost. That never happened. There was no match. Crowd is booing this. What a heel. How dare he take this away from Jericho? Me being one of them, like, no, he beat you. There was never a quick count by an incompetent official. And when Triple H and Steph eventually have kids, he says he doesn't know if he can trust Linda with their kids after the way Linda behaved on Monday. Because after the match, of course, Linda came out and said, she wants Austin there in The Rock's corner.
A cruel jab at a mother-in-law. Terrible.
Never involve the kids in your rivalries. And he asks, he couldn't believe that she smacked Stephanie on Raw, and ponders, what, is she going to smack our kids too? Who slaps their daughter? And he acknowledges that he went to set up putting Linda in the pedigree. And Triple H says, maybe I got out of control. I wouldn't have actually given her the pedigree, but then your hothead brother smacks me. He's a bit of a mama's boy, but that's okay. I'm sorry, Shane wasn't in the ring for this. It was just Triple H and Stephanie. And so Triple H announces the main event is the Ayatollah of Butthola, because Triple H always has to get these digs in. Chris Jericho, but I have to admit that's a good one. Chris Jericho versus The Rock. Oh, and it'll be a lumberjack match with all the lumberjacks hand selected by Shane, which is a fun storyline throughout the show, weaving in and out.
How do you feel being a clean finish, Mark? A lumberjack match, it can't be a clean finish.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I realized watching this show, and we could certainly talk more about it later when we get to it, that I don't really like lumberjack matches. And there's like an inconsistent. I think it works better when there's heels and faces out there, but in general, they all go the same. It's a very predictable format, and I have other problems with it that I'll get to once we get to the match. I
do remember, and they're kind of weird. They just, part of it is just like the weird fascination of like, ooh, they're all together,
Yeah.
And then you kind of get the feeling too, like when it's bad, you're like, oh, there's a bunch of guys that already wrestled and wanted to be on their way to the hotel, and they got to stick around. That energy doesn't look good. But I remember seeing a wonderful one as a kid, and it was very old school, Babyfaces heels. And so there was a lot of just like, oh, I'm going to roll the babyface out into the heel side, and they all pound them, and then the babyface lumberjack come out and chase them away, and then vice versa. And so, there was a lot of good done well. I think it needs to be that. It's certainly like, equal portions babyface heel.
Yeah. And I think it could be a good setup match for like the eventual blow off, because it's a perfect excuse not to have a finish with just all the lumberjacks fighting.
Yeah.
if done tastefully. But in general, I
It
realize
should have a warning, like an epileptic warning from like a flashing lights warning. Lumberjack match, clean finish, smart marks will, not beware. Yeah, will not be good for you.
Yeah. But we'll talk about it more later in the show, because as we get to certain points, I did my clean finish smart mark radar was like you said,
Yeah.
going off the horn. But it was a fun segment, though, regardless of my picking at it or whatever.
Yeah.
My nitpicks. Oh, and he says, "Read my lips. There will be no more bad days." And then who comes out?
I love that. Read my lips. What? Read my lips. Here's a strange subjective phrase. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're supposed to, like, oh, we weren't going to believe you, but now that you said read your lips. Oh, okay. No.
Yeah.
You
And also
mean it.
no more bad days. That's not like read my lips. I will be the champion. Read my, something definitive. No more taxes. Yeah. Read my lips. Things are going to be exciting. What? Whatever. Yeah.
So Tazz comes out. We're in Philly, so everyone knows who Tazz is.
Yep.
Huge ECW champ. He's the current ECW World Champion.
Yep.
And Tazz says, "It's good to see you in such a pleasant mood, but the mood is about to change."
Yeah.
I'm
going to rank that Tazz. I'm going to rank that Tazz impression. I'm going to give about 4.8.
Yeah, no, it was bad. It wasn't that great. It wasn't that good. Challenges Triple H to find out why they call Tazz the human wrecking machine. "Bring that little title belt you have around your waist. What is that? Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's not Tazz now. This is Triple H.
Oh. I thought it was some cartoon mouse, actually, or something.
So Triple H is no-selling this, which, by the way, this is the best promo Tazz has done since coming to WWE, I think, because it's the most mic time he's had. And Tazz was always a great promo in ECW. And I think that was his aura is in his shit talking, because you're really threatened by this tiny, wide man.
And again, the thing that is always people don't really talk about, or it's like the same promos can be flat or whatever, but when you come out with the juice of the crowd, and he's got the belt, and he's in Philadelphia.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not sometimes even the exact same words. It's like, whoa, so that's a big part of his ECW aura and the fans and that connection when he come out. You know, and sometimes you can't just like, that's in all kinds of entertainment. Like, oh, let's just put this here. Oh, it doesn't work. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, just you got to rebuild it or something. So, and like we've talked about too, like, probably to a fault, Vince would be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. You got to rebuild it here." Sometimes things transfer right away. Sometimes they don't. But, that's a big part of why this promo worked too, was like Philadelphia, belt, ECW, it all,
You're right. If the crowd didn't react, it wouldn't make it seem as cool. But since they know him. Yeah. Triple H is like no selling. And he says, "Bring that little belt you have around your waist." What does that stand for? Extreme? Well, this is the World Wrestling Federation, and I'm going to prove to you that ECW sucks. I like this, though. I like that that there's the interpromotional thing, because I feel like like it actually meant something in 2000. As a fan, I was like, "Holy shit! The WWF champion against the ECW champion. This is a fantasy match."
And it's bizarre because it's like whatever, like when things would happen in like Star Trek or old TV shows, and then they would like acknowledge like, oh, the two worlds are meeting. They don't pretend something else doesn't exist, and then or it's tongue in cheek mentioned, and this is like, I like that always. I don't know, there's something just like unique about it and weirdly thrilling.
Absolutely. And Tazz concludes, "You call yourself the game? I don't play games." Backstage. Yeah, this was great.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Great segment. I remember reading the results, because this was taped on a Tuesday before airing on Thursday. I was just like, "Oh my God, I have to see that.
Yeah.
This is so hype."
Mark titillation.
Very much so. Very much so. Backstage, Lita and Chyna are hanging out. Both look phenomenal. Lita compliments Chyna on her outfit. Chyna is upset because Lita and Essa Rios cost her and Eddie the match on Monday, and she says Eddie's willing to give Essa one more chance. He's in a good mood because he passed his GED, but don't screw it up. I love this GED story they keep pushing.
Yeah, that's funny. Look, just to talk about that for a sec, because we talked about it, because it was the beginning of like, well, it was Eddie Guerrero too. Like, it's one of those things where like, oh God, is that rude? That is a rude thing, but like Eddie Guerrero thought it was funny, and also would be one of those things where like, oh, all the whatever the Mexican fan base would be, that's so fucking funny, and then but the whatever
the woke mob,
whoever. Yeah, the woke mob, you can't do that. But, it's like, so it came out of like, it's always like, even Eddie's mullet or whatever would be like, I remember like Stephanie saying, like, shouldn't he have a better, like that haircut? And it's like, and Vince going, depends, ask him if that's the haircut of his people. And they like, so a lot of that stuff comes out of, that. And like Eddie's like, yeah,
he's so good as this character. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy how he evolved this character immediately in like 2 weeks,
oh yeah,
the Radicals Eddie Guerrero, completely different than this Latino Heat guy.
Yeah, and absolutely, and it's a weird thing of like they say like, oh, mobsters acted like mobsters because of the movies The Godfather, so he's like acting like this from just like the representation of entertainment, but he knows it and he's funny and he's like, my God, third generation Mexican wrestler performer, so it's like it was just like you didn't point him or any direction. He's like, I want to do this like this, and you're just like, yeah, let him run. He's fucking incredible, and he's like so funny, so charismatic, yeah, and
like even during their entrance, he does that little dance to Chyna, like his little shimmy, like just that little detail, like it adds so much, I think, in my opinion.
And not only that, it was just so pleasurable because we had things like, oh, we can get a different lowrider every week. And he's like, oh, that's great. He was so happy. He was so willing to do things. He loved it because he loved like more, mic time, ready to like, excel. And obviously, what a sad, sad death because it just seemed like, oh, that's a guy that could be like, go into movies, do it, like you're fucking great. It's just like, yeah, he was the greatest.
Yeah, only 38 when he died. He still had plenty of time to go.
Brutal. Just brutal.
Stephanie runs into Kurt Angle backstage. And it's been a while since you've played up this, flirtation between them.
Yeah.
And their chemistry is unreal. Like, it's so good. It's so palpable.
Yeah.
It's very like schoolboy girl crush. And Steph says, I think you're handsome, right? But your most amicable quality is your credibility. Excuse me, hold on. Stephanie, did you just say Kurt Angle's handsome? She just brushes past that, but it's like, that's a big thing. I love it. I wanted to bring your credibility to the Lumberjack match, she says. And of course, Kurt Angle says, I accept. And then they have this like kind of awkward moment of like, should we hug? Should we kiss? And then they both leave.
I did like that interview, and that was like just fun because like the hallway. And it was like one of those things where like, oh, you get behind. So I just said, like, oh, just do that again and just be like weirdly so awkward, you know what I mean? And just kind of like, and just put that in. And then you just, and luckily Vince loved it. Like, it was like, oh, that's so funny. But that helped like launch it. But I remember being there like, because it was just kind of like at the end of like one of the takes was like, oh, do you go left or I go right? And like, oh, just do that again. But just, and then they totally just milked it. And it was like, oh, it's so great. Yeah.
And this is another thing about the Attitude Era that I have to give you guys credit for. You're weaving so many threads, and it's great that you could like put one down for a few weeks and then just let's get right back into it.
And the fun of doing things like things come out of like left field just naturally, because like that was kind of like, oh, they're having that, do that more, and you were empowered to just do that. And the tape went to the truck, and Vince didn't, there was no like they walk down the hallway and then they do this. It wasn't like it's like their chemistry wasn't pre. It was like enhanced. You're just off and running and doing stuff. Sometimes they're like, you get, what the hell was that? Or, oh, that was great. Just you kind of had that autonomy a little bit to find things, you know what I mean? And that's even the nature of the catchphrase, is something that catches on. What's going to catch on? And you're working it that way, as opposed to sometimes like it's all controlled like a sitcom or something, and that you kind of feel like something's not quite organic or weird, and even though it's more rough around the edges, it's you like that. Like just like we said, ECW, super rough around the edges, super charisma, super intensities, so I'm done.
So then we have Dudley's versus Essa Rios and Eddie Guerrero. Lita and Chyna are, of course, at ringside. Very exciting, but short match. Eddie and Essa worked so well with the Dudleys. The Dudleys are great bases to, catch them at their high spots. At the end, it's a bit of a schmoz, and Lita tried to interfere as she does with her head scissors / Hurricane Rana, and accidentally hit Eddie. And the Dudleys get Essa and give him a quick 3D for the win. Chyna is very upset. She runs into the ring and grabs Lita since she messed up. And behind Chyna, so Chyna has Lita by the hair, and right behind her, the Dudleys are getting into action, and they set up a table very quickly. Chyna turns around and sees what's happening. She wants none of the Dudleys' heat and throws Lita to the wolves. And Lita gets put through a table. Huge pop. And I think you guys showed tremendous self-control here, but it's been a month that you haven't put any women through a table. But this is their gimmick, and so they were due for a new table spot.
She is a legitimate combatant. Whatever, it's
right. She's trained.
Yeah. I pitched putting Mae Young in a wheelchair through a table, so I love it all. Fuck it. Yeah, this now, even as a clean finish smart mark, this was a great schmoz, because you're just kind of well, what's going to happen with this match? It's who's going to get the clean pin? Doesn't matter, and it advances the storyline. What a fucking colorful schmoz of Essa Rios, Eddie Guerrero with their female counterparts, and that mixing up and moving on. So it's this was even the staunchest clean finish smart marks must say this is a good place for a schmoz.
Yeah, this is a good piece of business, as you say. And I think it's very original or unique, maybe, that the women are fighting over their men. And they're they're tough,
Yep.
It's not like a cat fight. It's a real tough women.
You may even be able to get into the schmoz finish smart mark clubhouse for a night with that attitude.
Yeah, hey, nothing wrong with a good schmoz.
Yeah.
I like a good schmoz when called for, and this was called for, especially because.
But the clean finish smart mark council is going to reprimand you, oh, Rob, what do you like? What do you want to become, a schmoz finish smart mark, or are you a clean finish smart mark?
I have to pick.
Yeah. That's what I'm starting today. The Schmoz Finish Smart Mark Club. Just love schmozes.
SFSMC. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Radicals are in the back. This is Saturn, Benoit, and Malenko. And Shane approaches them to be Lumberjacks. They are in, which is basically a thread, like I said, throughout the whole show, of them approaching heels to be Lumberjacks. We get an upskirt shot of Rikishi's butt, and then we get an upskirt shot of Big Show's butt. And they're wrestling next.
Yep. Big butts.
It's interesting because they wrestled a few months ago, and I remember saying, wow, these two really put on a show here. This was not that. This was just...
No.
This was more on the entertainment side. Big Show's doing his new character. He comes out dancing. He says, in Philly, they don't call him the Big Show. They call him the Big Funky, which I have to think that that's a Vince McMahon line. I can't imagine anyone writing that about Vince McMahon.
Can't remember.
So hit the music. We're going to have a dance-off. It's the Too Cool music, the Rikishi Too Cool music, and Show dances very much like a white guy. Then he invites Rikishi to dance, and Rikishi gets the full presentation. He gets the glasses, the lights lower, and as soon as he turns around, Big Show, being the heel, of course, attacks him. Cole puts over that Big Show has an A and B personality. 1 minute he's fun, and the next he's all business, which I'm not sure the crowd kind of picks up on that, like the split personalities, or maybe you don't lean into it enough for the crowd to kind of get it, because I see it now, but I think it's just oh, he's just silly and then he's mean.
Yeah, it's a little convoluted here. It works better, in my opinion, in when it's he needs to do something at the end of a match or do something and then destroy someone after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, I'm being fun. Oh, that doesn't work. Ha, you're a jerk. Fuck you. I destroy you and walk off pissed off. It needs to have that kind of. This was a little too much. Rikishi's bit, just a little too convoluted, but a good piece of business, live.
Right.
Hit the lights and what have you.
I mean, the crowd loves the dancing. Big Show at one point did the worm. Lawler jokes.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's more of a centipede.
Yeah.
They spilt to the outside, double count out, no finish. Rikishi rolls in the ring. He grabs the mic. He says, "Get your ass back in the ring. I want more." Phrasing. But when Big Show comes in, Rikishi makes it clear he doesn't want more wrestling because he puts the shades on Big Show, and then Big Show puts shades on Rikishi, and then they dance to end the segment. Very sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Angle is disgusted backstage. Disgust.
Yeah.
I guess this is what you're establishing here is you're turning Big Show, right? Like he's slowly becoming a face.
And the dancing's just over. And what is over sometimes trumps logic, it trumps smart markism, trumps everything. It's just so over, that like, let's try to get that dancing rub. And I do like that it's really helped by the disgust of Kurt Angle.
Angle backstage says he's a modern day gladiator. Big Show used to mean something. I stand for something, he says, setting up their match. One thing I have to give credit for with this pay-per-view cycle, way more than the WrestleMania pay-per-view cycle, is it's very clear what all the matches for Backlash are. Like the feuds are very organized here. You know who's feuding with whom.
Well, part of that was just like we've documented well how like that whole thing built up WrestleMania. So there was a little bit of like, okay, back to basics. Let's not let that happen again. That was kind of a underlying foundational thing.
Then we have Triple H versus Tazz. And this was very interesting for me to watch back because in my memory, I just remember it as Triple H just buried Tazz and buried ECW, and I hate him so much. He's such, like as a mark, I'm saying like, oh, what a selfish heel and all this stuff. But watching it with 2025 eyes, I don't really think that was the case. I thought it was for what it is. Like, obviously, you're in WWE. WWE is the bigger company. Triple H has to go over. But I think you did as good a job as you could protecting Tazz with this match.
And you got to remember, it's just like the time-honored tradition of wrestling was like, okay, let's face it. How big is ECW? Who gets that rub? The mention of ECW previously, the shot of him winning the title, him bringing the belt in, him, at a certain point, he's like, now he's got to do
the footage of him winning the title. I don't think you've ever.
I think there was a clip that was very short.
Okay.
From before. I think it was just more like last night at the ECW arena and just like literally maybe the 2, 3 and him this or like the belt like 5 seconds or something. I think there was, I'm pretty sure. But nonetheless, it was like that's a big rub for that, that organization. So, at a certain point, like, and now time to pay the piper, at which, that's the time-honored tradition of wrestling, of course.
Yeah,
so I think
also,
overall,
you get 7 times the ratings of ECW at this point. Like ECW is barely doing a 1.
Yeah.
On TNN. Cole says this is champion for champion, no title on the line. And right as he says that line, Mike Chioda raises the WWF title, indicating it's being defended. So a little miscommunication there. Huge slut chant for Stephanie just out of nowhere, which just shows how over this deal is, like the Triple H Stephanie package. Like the crowd just hates them. Especially
let's just stop for 1 second because I do remember that. Like, it should be on the line or we're not. For me, I was like, yeah, put it, he's going to go over, put it on the line. It just makes it more exciting in Philadelphia. Like, holy shit, are they actually going to fucking drop the fucking title? Probably not.
Yeah, I agree.
I disagree. That probably was part of the confusion because there's a little like, it should be. Who knows? Maybe at the last minute. No, it's not I don't know why. I think that was a mistake personally to even mention that. Why? We'll just make it a little less exciting.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like just the possibility that someone could leave a double champion during this era is crazy.
And most of that title is not on the line is kind of like a weird, antiquated thing that's more about like, well, you got to pay to go see the title match or whatever reason. But I
right.
wrong.
Like you wouldn't. Why would you put it on free TV? Whereas now it's
yeah.
And like I said, 16-year-old Rob thought Triple H was very selfish in this match, but modern day Rob, 42-year-old Rob, geez, that's such an age difference. But I was very impressed with how Triple H was doing the kind of like Ric Flair selling for the local, top guy in the territory. Like he made Tazz look great here, I thought, up until the end.
And you know what? We had a discussion before about he was giving a lot to Chaka Michinoku or whatever. Like I think that's smart, and it's part of like wrestling tradition in a way, but also it's good for the heel, to be. It gives that kind of like, oh, this fucking squirmy motherfucker gets his ass beat and then always just fucking gets away from it. Very Ric Flairish, in that sense. And it was like, and it makes you, I don't know, and in a weird way, it endears the actual performer to you, but also it's more like, oh, that slime ball,
so close. Yeah, it builds up his future matches because you're like, oh, maybe this is the one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the ending, I thought, was as good as you, like for ECW, as good as you could expect from the larger promotion. Crowd was super behind Tazz. They even did a Tazz mission tease, which the crowd went nuts for. Triple H gets out of it by doing a low blow, sets up a pedigree, and then Tommy Dreamer runs in.
Yeah.
And this is very unlike WWE, I feel, because, to most people watching WWE, who the fuck is Tommy Dreamer?
Yeah.
He's obviously one of the top guys in ECW and the guy that would dethrone Tazz as ECW champion. So, in essence, he gets network television rub from running in. He has a chair. He's the innovator of violence, so he has to have a chair. Goes to hit Triple H, and of course, Triple H ducks. Dreamer accidentally hits Tazz. Triple H pedigrees Dreamer, gets him out of the ring. So Dreamer kind of looks like a jackass here a little bit, but gets the win on Tazz through Tommy Dreamer's fault. So now you've kind of set up a little tension between Tazz and Tommy Dreamer for their match, which I think happens over the weekend.
Absolutely.
So, as I said, this couldn't have gone better. Sure, Tazz could have won. That would have been great. But let's be real. That's not happening. And Triple H has a claim to be the lineal unified actual world champion, because a few months ago, Chris Benoit won the WCW World Heavyweight title, quit the next day, never lost it, and then wrestled Triple H 2 weeks after that. Triple H got that win, so he beat the WCW champion. Here's the ECW champion. Triple H gets the win. Triple H is the champion of champions.
Don't tell me you're a unified title smart mark.
I just remember this being like a fun stat that people kind of used against Triple H to be like, oh, like he's the mark. He has to have these. He couldn't just give Benoit a win. He needs to beat him because he has to show he's the better champion. They used it negatively against him, I remember at the time.
Well, I never remember Triple H, the Western Heritage Championship run. So.
Nice.
Western States Heritage.
Yeah, let's show some respect.
Yeah.
Then we have TNA against Godfather and D'Lo Brown. It's Tess and Albert with Trish Stratus. By the way, like one thing I noticed is like about the 2000s fashion is I feel so bad for women during this era just because they have to keep plucking their eyebrows. Her and Lita, like their poor eyebrows.
Right.
They just look pencil thin. I can only imagine the pain for beauty. This has been your fashion segment of the week, folks. I don't know. So to get across.
Well, also you got to remember what you've got those incredible Pasbani eyebrows. You're thinking of it like, my God, that must be torturous. Where most they're probably like, not really, just a few. You're
right. Yeah, they don't have this big.
Yeah. My God, how long does it take to pluck eyebrows? Pasbani said 3 hours. Like, no, it takes 15 minutes.
Bubba's watching from the stage. He's very turned on. And then Devon comes out to get a handle on him. Albert's trying something new. He's wrestling without a shirt, showing off his physique.
Yep.
Eventually, Devon convinces Bubba to get to the back. There's a miscommunication between Godfather and D'Lo, and TNA get the win, obviously, because nothing really going on with Godfather and D'Lo. And then what? D'Lo turns on the Godfather. He's done.
Yep.
Which, I mean, D'Lo could have used this spark. He needed something for his character. I feel like he hasn't really done much since that unfortunate accident with Tazz.
Yeah, and he was well respected as a, legitimate, like, thick, tough worker, and then it was like good to get the rub. And let's face it, the Godfather thing is like, yeah, I'm there with the hoe train and here to absorb losses and, bring the house down. So it's kind of like, all right, if you want to get him into some, for lack of a better term, legitimate pro wrestling stuff, you get, makes sense.
Then we have Christian against X-Pac. Great match. I think X-Pac severely underrated, especially during this era. And really good work. Eventually, Road Dogg comes out. He distracts Christian, giving X-Pac the opportunity to hit the X Factor for the win. And afterwards, Edge and Christian attack DX to get their heat back.
I'm always a fan of pushing things like this. You didn't see it a lot. I love when there's like two tag teams, either going to have a rival or some champ, is like peeling them off and having them against each other in singles, because doesn't matter. They can absorb losses. You know what I mean? Because like, oh, I'm a tag team. I'm not a singles guy. Both guys from one team could lose. Doesn't mean they're going to, and it just sets up intrigue. Like, oh, but as a team, could they win? Maybe they're more unstoppable. It's just like fun. Absolutely. And it's like a way to get other matches in and, and what have you.
It's easy booking, like you said. And it's a great way to just extend the feud without having the two teams face off against each other somehow.
Yeah. And to have more matches on the card that like kind of aren't just like throw togethers for no reason. Like, oh, that'll make sense. And, so I was a fan of that.
Backstage, Shane McMahon asked the Dudleys to be lumberjacks. They ask, any tables involved? And he says anything could happen in the WWF. Another one of these Stone Cold recaps, the iconic beer bath segment. Some of Vince McMahon's best physical comedy. Yeah. I still have the image of him swimming through the beer. In my head. Great.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Flopping. Yeah. Just incredible.
We have Benoit versus Angle. Whew. These guys always delivered. Yeah. And
unbelievable.
Very, very good match until Big Show comes out to chase Kurt Angle.
It's sad. You think of like talking about like, oh, legitimate pro wrestling, great physical matches that are just about wrestling, even though whatever the gimmicks were, that Kurt Angle's legacy is like so kind of fucking tarnished, because it's like you don't really bring that up. Oh, and those great matches with Ben, it's just there's always like but by the way, it's just so, So
they were definitely wrestling soulmates. They had so many good matches, and I feel like Benoit brought even more of the best out of Angle just because they had that chemistry together.
Absolutely. And then Benoit being like, oh, I'm really legitimized by this absolute Olympic guy. And then their stature, it all just worked like so wild, so good.
Yeah. I would always enjoy watching these guys work. And Jericho brought this up too, because he obviously had a lot of great matches with Benoit as well. And he's actually in a feud with Benoit right now. They're going to be facing at the pay-per-view. And he said that some of his best matches, like they're kind of locked behind a vault because they're against Benoit. Like one of the most infamous moments is they had a ladder match at the Royal Rumble the following year. And I remember Jericho did the Walls of Jericho on Benoit on top of the ladder. It looked ridiculous. It looked crazy. And you're never going to see that again because they're never going to spotlight that. No, should they? I'm not criticizing WWE. It's completely understandable.
No, I'm saying there's no way to slice it where it's not rotten, unfortunately.
Then we get another fun Crash Holly segment. I feel like this one kind of rejuvenated the Angle a little bit after the downturn with WrestleMania. He's at the Circus. The Ringling Brothers was in town. Man, I totally forgot about the Ringling Brothers. That was an annual thing that doesn't exist anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, it was the Spectrum, or whatever it was called at the time that was it the Spectrum for that? I can't be in the
I
opening
think so.
segment. What?
Or
Yeah,
maybe the Wells
and then it
Fargo
was
Center.
just I don't know if I think it maybe still was the I can't
Yeah.
maybe who knows, but who knows? I mean, we should know. It's in the opening segment, but who knows? Uh, but there's the parking lot, and the circus was over in the parking lot, and we were just like driving in, and that was basically it. Like, oh, the circus, can we do something with that was so fun about the Attitude Era, like driving in the car with Vincent Chain. Oh, the circus is in the big parking lot. Oh, should we do something with the circus? Oh, what can we do? On the way to the production meeting, and then just, oh, okay, yeah, oh, okay, the posse, yeah, go get some weird clown outfits. Oh, and then like, yeah, we'll go. Crash loves the circus, and just threw it together that fast, basically by, hey, there's a circus over there, and then and then the circus people go over like, oh yes, of course, we'd love to get the rub. Ringling Brothers, it wasn't like that needed to be cleared. You can't do this, like none of that. It was just like, oh, of course. And I just remember like, yeah, get some weird shitty clown outfits, and then just thinking on the fly like, oh yeah, get him with the big shoe. And then I remember just adding to like, hey, you should just keep talking like a clown even after the thing, and like, why the fuck are you still talking in that? Oh, just all that was just done in almost everything. The footage you see, it was like everything. You know what I mean? There was no. It's just like, well, let's go over there and do it. Hurry! I got to get back for this. I mean, we drove over. I think it was like half hour at most from beginning to end, just and then zipped back over to the arena, and just that kind of like fun fly by the seat of your pants stuff was so Attitude Era. That was just great. Like, where are you? Got to do this segment. I gotta quick. We got to take the van over to the parking lot to the circus and do this business. Oh, great. That was fun. Oh, here's the truck. You can do that, and they're figuring stuff. Right. Let's do it. Okay, got it. Go back. Take the tape to the truck. Oh, where's everybody? Okay, just like that was the biggest blast of working in this era, like stuff like that.
And I thought the posse was so good in this segment because you really didn't know who they were until maybe like the third guy showed up, and you were like, okay, just through process of elimination, you figure because the makeup was great.
Yeah.
So very fun.
And that's another thing because we have the apparatus back there, makeup. It's kind of like this whole like, I need a fucking hair dye. Oh, sit down. Seamstress, everything, just like, yeah, go do it.
Very, very fun stuff. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how you keep the Crash Holly hardcore thing fresh, because it's been running for a few weeks now. So
yeah,
we'll see. I love that one of the lines. So all three attack him. Referee Teddy Long is there. Nobody gets a pin. The clowns eventually reveal it. They're the posse. Crash escapes. You want the title? Go down to the Philly Zoo and sunk a monkey's nipple with it. Oh no, that's The Rock. I'm sorry. My notes are a little confused. Yeah. Let's cut that out. All right. Yeah. Then we got a promo with The Rock.
Hey, we're live, pal. Let's leave it in.
Oh no. You got a promo with The Rock, and he talks to Jericho.
I know. I was like, what are you talking? Now we have to leave it in because I keep talking about it. Like, what are you talking about? A monkey's nipple? And I don't remember. In the pot? What? Oh, sorry.
He tells Jericho to go down to the Philly Zoo and suck a monkey's nipple with the title or something like that, and that he was going to win tonight, and then he was going to beat Triple H for the title at Backlash. So finally we have the Rock versus Jericho main event.
Yeah.
And all the Lumberjacks are heels, and of course you got to establish the match. So immediately Jericho gets thrown out, attacked by all the heels, which is legal. Even though there is disqualification apparently in the match. That's what kind of confused me about the match, about the rules of the match, because it's like the Lumberjacks are attacking the competitors in front of the ref, which is part of the rules, that the Lumberjacks are supposed to throw them back in. You want to keep the action in the ring. But then why would there be like, why did at some point Triple H get on the apron to distract the refs so somebody else could, are they not allowed to attack the wrestlers in the ring? Only outside of the ring? Where's the limit?
That's why it's so hard being a WWF sanctioned referee in this era. It's very tough. There's a lot of blurred lines. I think for the most part, a Lumberjack match was set up to be like, okay, no more constantly bailing out of the ring.
Yeah.
Like Larry Zbyszko would or whatever, to like constantly save yourself. How do we do it? It's not a cage match, so it's a little more. It's a lumberjack match, and also, hey, whoever the Freebirds or whoever they got the third guy, and it's like it's just too much out of hand. Let's put, generally speaking, let's put heels and baby faces outside so they can kind of monitor everything to keep the two combatants kind of in the ring and fair, and it kind of is an equalizer. Now Triple H takes advantage of this by having all heel lumberjacks. He's further stacking the deck. So there you have it.
Okay, that's fair. I'll accept.
Yeah. Oh, Judge Pasmani accepts.
And the other thing about this that I was wondering about, in political terms, is okay. So all the heels around, and they see what's going on. Wouldn't the baby faces backstage kind of be like, "Hey, this is messed up. If he could do this to The Rock, he could do this to us. We should go and wouldn't there be some form of, I don't want to say the term union, but some form of collective payback for this from the face? Like, why would the other faces allow this to happen?
That's a very sticky subject of like what goes up backstage and why, who rushes in when, who's there to actually like play their music. I got to run in to help my friend, but I got to tell the guy to play my music first, and he doesn't know. So I know I always like wanted to like do things, but it was like, let's talk about it. Like, oh, the baby faces there's like a fucking Triple H ordered 30 delicious, Philly cheesesteaks over here for all the baby faces. So they were like, hey, they're attacking him in the ring, and they're all eating what? I didn't know. And, how many layers of just things like that are you going to put in? So at a certain point, sometimes you got to go like, and the more we explain it, the more we paint ourselves into a corner. That's it. Maybe the baby faces are on their way to the Motel 6 because they've had their matches. So again,
okay, that's fair.
The camera pans of the rabid fans going crazy, but there's a disgruntled young Pasbani in the third row going, wait a minute. What if and why?
Where are the Rikishi? What are you doing? Rikishi?
Yeah. Maybe they're just in a side room back there doing one of their dance moves, and no one's, Triple H said, like, whatever you do, don't knock on that door and tell them, what's going on.
Yeah. So what I like, though,
you know what we should have done? Now I regret it.
Please.
Should have pitched it. There should have been something almost like the famous Spinal Tap, where like the baby face and someone hears they're in an arena, like, oh my God, we got to save him, and they're going down hallways, and we could have just ripped off the exact same.
That would have been great.
Arena, yeah. Yeah.
I like that eventually The Rock was like, I'm done with this shit. And then he just goes out and starts attacking the heels. And then Jericho follows suit. And then, of course, they both get the shit kicked out of them because there's like 30 guys to the two of them. Big schmoz ending. A lot of schmoz in here. Triple H gets on the apron. And then Benoit does a flying headbutt to Jericho since the two of them are feuding. Rock goes for the pin. Kick out. Switch it up. Jericho gets back up. Triple H gets back up on the apron. X-Pac comes in. X-Factor's The Rock. Jericho tries to get the pin. Kick out. Then it's just like total commotion. Rock hits a rock bottom. Tries to get the pin. Triple H pulls out The Rock in front of the ref. Like, wouldn't this be a DQ? Like a no contest? Like, at some point I was like, when is the no contest? When is the judge going to, when is the ref going to call this match? This is like so much commotion. But none such happened. Eventually, so by the way, Rock hits 2 rock bottoms on Jericho. Eventually, Triple H sneaks in behind the ref with a belt shot on the Rock. Jericho covers the Rock, gets the win on the Rock, which is a nice consolation for arguably being buried on Monday. But also I find it funny that Triple H needed to get his win on Monday when it would have made more sense for Jericho to get the win. But he'll let The Rock eat a pin from Jericho on Thursday. A little politics for you. Not like The Rock lost anything by losing.
Heels rule is kind of the theme of this show, and you need that, like, you need Triple H up there because it's just better to have The Rock chasing it for a certain amount of, you know what I mean? That still is like in play, you know what I mean? And you could have said like, yeah, there was a wasted moment. He should have won it at WrestleMania. Whatever, that's over. Let's reestablish that. I think it always made sense to put to stack the deck for Triple H, and he keeps stacking it because he's like, it just works. And then like, I thought this all worked out great too because Chris Jericho gets like he gets to like now form his narrative, if you will, is like, hey, I've beat all these guys. What the fuck, you know? And now I'm not buried. The Rock is the Rock. This is he could lose this because it's like, oh yeah, I lost this thing with fucking you know, this fucking madness that fucking asshole Triple H set up with the whole fucking thing. That doesn't mean shit, you know. So it was like and it was crowd satisfying, and it wasn't like, oh, it was all good, and then everything kept moving forward, you know.
Yeah, and I will say this was an exciting end to the event, to the Smackdown.
The event. I like that better than saying episode. Episode still doesn't. I don't like that in episodes and seasons. It's the event.
Yes. So this is
even
good.
though I hate PLE, that I hate.
That's the worst. Yeah, I agree. It's such corporate speak.
Yeah, I know. It's so. Yeah, and then when you put it into a wrestling pro, you'll be at the PLE. Boo. Oh.
Yeah, it'd be like, oh, and then we will meet in the climax of our storyline, and we will crescendo. Like,
Yeah.
what? Why are you saying that?
That's even better.
So that's SmackDown. Quick rundown of Sunday Night Heat happening the following Sunday. The Hardy Boys defeat Al Snow and Steve Blackman. Wow, hold on. We didn't have one head cheese sketch on this this episode. I'm very lucky, but you saved it for Heat because Al Snow talked to Steve Blackman, and they suggested they go by Snow Bunnies. Blackman isn't interested and wants Snow to stop being a goof. Snow stops Harvey Whippleman with his bunny costume, saying like, "Oh, hey, cut it out. This is cut."
Yeah.
Then we have Hardy's defeating Al Snow and Blackman. And after the match, Snow gets on the microphone and says he knows Blackman is mad at him. Snow has his own Easter bunny to come out and make Blackman smile. Harvey Whippleman comes out in a bunny costume. Harvey says he feels like an idiot and runs away after Blackman attacks Al Snow in the corner. It's a big angle. Might be the end of their tag team. Hopefully we get a recap of this on Raw.
That's the pleasure of Heat, and that's the pleasure of just the ratings were good, and just the attitude of everyone. People didn't really feel like, oh, I'm on Heat and I'm not this, and like, hey, Heat has burst many fucking things. And also when you had like the APA having fun on Heat doing shit, you always had this to be like, oh, fucking APA can do it, you can do it, you know, like Blackjack Mulligan said, or whoever said, if Andre the Giant can sell, anyone can sell, you know. So there was fun to have that. So love Heat.
Backstage, Bossman and Buchanan are at the APA office. They knock on the door. There's a sign that says they're at lunch. They proceed to kick the door open, destroy the office, and drink the beer.
Ooh.
After the break, APA returned to their office. See, it's been trashed. They're not happy about it. We have Hardcore Holly and Perry Saturn in a double DQ. Just ends in the outside, and ref gets shoved in the corner, and no finish. After the match, Holly whacks Saturn over the head with a stop sign. We have Scotty 2 Hotty defeating Dean Malenko and Taka Michinoku to retain the light heavyweight title. Chris Benoit makes his way down for an interview. Since he's become the Intercontinental Champion, he's never insulted any more than he was last week. He's insulted by the challenge of Chris Jericho. Says that Jericho's claim to fame is getting a fast 3 count to obtain a victory over Triple H. And he notes he looked in the archives and it doesn't say that Jericho won the world title at any point. And he points out that he beat Jericho at WrestleMania, puts himself over as a great technical wrestler. And Jericho's most intimidating trait or most exciting trait is his entrance. Benoit insults the fans, prompts Jericho to make his way out with a full entrance. He tells Benoit to shut the hell up. Jericho says if they were in their 60s, then Benoit would be a great champion. However, it's Oh, if it was the 60s, Benoit would be a great champion because he's so bland, I guess. And it's the 2000s now. Jericho notes, the crowd roared in comparison to what Benoit got. And Jericho thinks the fans want to see him as the Intercontinental Champion and wants to know if Benoit accepts his challenge. Benoit accepts the challenge, and they brawl as officials break it up. Jericho at one point knocks Benoit down and locks him in the walls of Jericho, and we have a visual tap out. So good setup for the match. Again, like this heat is pretty loaded. It's gonna be
extremely loaded.
Yeah, this could have been a main show angle. And then the final match is Farouk ending Bull Buchanan. And the post-show
Did they call him
is,
Farouk?
The results here say Farouk. So yeah, he's still Farouk.
I think he's fully Ron Simmons at this point.
After
where are you reading this from?
This is from WrestlingRecaps.com, the highly reputable.
Oh, definitely beyond reproach. So, excuse me. All apologies.
And then afterwards, Kane came out to attack Bull and Bossman to continue that angle.
Yes.
So that's something that he actually I think this is the most eventful one we've recapped yet.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, so I'm pretty pumped for Backlash. Great matches set up, and I'm curious. You guys have some momentum building here. You're kind of getting past the awkwardness of WrestleMania. Curious to see how this continues this Monday on Raw. And of course, we always welcome your feedback. tftattitudeera@gmail.com is the email address.
Even your Western, since I'm in Burbank, California right now, I'll be looking forward to your Western States heritage feedback.
Yes. And Jonathan, the previously mentioned Jonathan, had a question, actually. We brought up Muffy on the last Smackdown, and she's gone, it looks like. You've immediately dropped that character. He asked, I heard her name is supposed to be Muffy the Fat Slayer, a take on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Is that accurate, or was that just because it was a popular show at the time?
I cannot say yes or no because I don't remember. I just remember her angle was kind of to be there was also that Susan Powder was
right. That's right.
So she was kind of like basically and even the remnants of Jane Fonda were in the air. So she was going to be like a heel sort of aerobics, fat shaming aerobics instructor. But it was just convoluted. It's kind of like, well, was she attached to a wrestler yet? So she was going to come out and do this thing where she starts, hey, everybody get up, you fat slobs. And it just unfortunately was just like thrust in a weird way. It didn't come out of anything organically, where I just thought like, oh God, she should have been training a wrestler or you know what I mean? Got the rub that way or something. It just was like dropped in weird and like, what is this? Oh, she's okay. And then like, it doesn't work. Gone. So it was one of those like just sad.
Was there any thought to that Trish was supposed to play the character? Do you happen to remember? That was one of the other questions.
I don't believe so. I think Trish came out with just kind of like, oh, we really like this. She can do a lot. She's got the look or whatever. I think there was maybe things were like, oh, maybe they could have a rub with each other, be part of this thing. But it was like the last minute and just kind of like thrown in there. And I felt bad about it because I was like, whoa, what is this? And we have to do this. And, shouldn't it have been doled out a little? You know what I mean? Because I was like kind of putting like, maybe she should be like training Stephanie or one of Stephanie's friends. There just would have been so much more ways to like seed it or get it over because of course it had potential from that sense of like, oh, okay. But just like, just the way it was like dropped in there, boom, get over. No, tough. Gotcha. Happens,
Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week. TFT Attitude Era on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Give us a follow. Give us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, with La Parka on Tales from the Attitude Era.